What is up, Force fam? Star Wars Dad back for another video. Today, we're going to be doing something a little different. I'm going to be interviewing with a player named Dinosaur, who finished 22nd at the Galactic Championships. A brief background about Dinosaur. He's been playing card games for about 25 years, and he's been playing competitively for about 15 years, and he's pretty much played most trading card games that you've ever heard of, and he was almost professional in Hearthstone. I think he's getting back into the competitive scene in Star Wars Unlimited, and he was able to finish 22nd out of, was it close to 3,000 people over the weekend of the Galactic Championships. He's just a really great guy, an incredible player. I learned a lot just from talking with him. It's always great to hear great players and the way they think about the game and approach the game. Can't wait to get into this interview with you guys. And before we get into today's video, please make sure to check out my Patreon if you want to get more exclusive content from me. Please make sure to sign up for the 6,000 subscriber giveaway, where I'll be giving away 3 Darth Vader hyperspace foils. And for today's video, I will be giving away a Darth Tyrannus event exclusive to one lucky winner in the comments, just to kind of stick with giving away cards from the theme of the decks that we're talking about. So in the comments, let me know what decks are you going to be playing competitively post-Galactic Championships. I've seen there's already some PQs that have happened, about 10 of them from what I could tell, at least that were, the results were online at least. But yeah, what are you playing post-Galactics? And I will be giving away the Darth Tyrannus to one lucky winner in the comments. Also just wanted to mention that Dinosaur has his own YouTube channel as well, where he does deck techs and gameplay, and you get to kind of hear his line of thinking and how he approaches the game. So definitely make sure to check that out, and I will go ahead and post that link on the screen and in the description to one lucky winner in the comments. But yeah, let's get into the interview. Like I said, this is a great guy, and just I learned a lot, so I hope you guys learn a lot from this interview as well. All right, what is up, man? I appreciate you taking the time. I know we had some technical difficulties as well, so I appreciate you and your patience. But I just wanted to give you a chance to introduce yourself before we get started.
Thank you very much, and it's absolutely my pleasure to be here. I am Aram, Dinosaur, whatever you want to call me, and I was one of the players who made it all the way to day 3 doing the Galactics this past weekend.
So let's talk about that a little bit. So you played day 1, right?
Yeah. I was one of the many unlucky fews who didn't have a day 2 bye, so I had to play all the way from day 1. Managed to claw my way out, thankfully, with a score of 6-1.
Nice.
Just for a little context, you needed at least 6 wins in order to move on to day number 2.
Nice. So that's like 7-8 hours of gameplay, right?
Yeah, I mean, it started at 10 in the morning, and I think even considering I didn't need to play every round, I wasn't done until 8 p.m. So we're talking 10 hours of gaming, and people who had to play that last round, it was at least a solid 11 hours straight. And then you get to go back to your hotel, sleep, wake up, and run it all back.
Yeah, that's a lot. So like, talk about that for a second. So do you think that is a disadvantage or an advantage? Like you're coming into day 2 like already kind of fresh and confident, but you're probably a little more tired, I would imagine. So, I mean, is it just kind of a little bit of positive and a little bit of negative, or would you consider it an advantage or a disadvantage because of the mental exhaustion factor?
It's a great question. Honestly, it's a little bit of both for sure. Having that day 2 bye means you need to play a lot less, which definitely matters because by the time I was in day 3, I had already played over, I think, 15 games of Star Wars Unlimited, and that's only in the actual tournament. Of course, we were practicing the week of. So at some point, the mental drain just gets you. But on the flip side, playing in day 1 lets you kind of get a feel for the field because, of course, as much as you practice at home, you're not getting the same caliber of play or the same diversity that you would. But in day 1, I was able to see a lot of the meta decks that people were expecting, and I guess, like you said, it's a bit of a warm up.
Yeah. So there's positives and negatives to it, but that's got to be tough though. Like playing and making it to day 3, which is extremely impressive because of how many games and the mental fortitude you have to get through that. Those are long days of gaming.
Oh, for sure. I mean, the biggest thing that helped push me was the fact that we went there with a group of. Well, I mean, we were a lot of people who went from my local area, but from my local store, we went there as 6 people, of which one of them already had a day two buy. So we had 5 of us in the day one championship, just pushing each other along. After every game, you meet up. You're like, "Hey, how did you do?"
Yeah,
And
yeah.
what's amazing is that out of the 5 of us who were in day one, 4 of us made it to day two,
That
which
that is
yeah,
very amazing, actually. So you must have a really good play group.
that's the thing. It really speaks volume to the quality of players that we have at our local store, and it's not just our store too. We're from our area. I think I'm from Canada, and from my local area, I think we were upwards of 40 to 50 people who went. So just having a lot of familiar faces definitely helps.
Yeah, for sure. So you've played card games for almost 25 years, you said?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I grew up in the generation where Yu-Gi-Oh was in every kid's hands, and the TV show was playing all the time. So we got into it from there,
Nice.
and for me, it clicked really hard. I've pretty much dabbled into any card game you can imagine. I played some MTG, some Pokemon, Vanguard, Digimon, One Piece, anything you could think of. I have at least tried it. I did also have like a short professional stint in Hearthstone. Didn't last very long, unfortunately, due to my state's gambling laws. But
Oh,
we're not going to
really?
get into that.
That's interesting.
Yeah,
How long did you do that for, the Hearthstone?
I mean, I was a very avid player at the start, um, and I competed in every kind of small event tournament that they were hosting around here. And back in the days, in order to qualify to play at BlizzCon, which was the biggest one, you had to finish very high ranking in Legend, which was, I guess, the highest rank you could achieve.
Right.
And even though I did achieve that, people who were in my province were disqualified because our laws considered that gambling. It has changed since, but it was an issue for a long time.
That's interesting. I would never expect playing a competitive card game to be considered gambling, but interesting. So kind of getting into this tournament, how do you go about preparing for big tournaments in general based on Hearthstone and coming into this game? What got you started into this game? I guess to start there.
Great question. I mean, up until Star Wars Unlimited came out, I was still playing other card games. The main one back then that I was playing was Digimon. Playing it a bit more casually because while I did enjoy the game, not enough to jump head first into such a competitive area.
Right.
But when Star Wars came out and I tried it out, I really, really enjoyed it to the point where I pushed our local store really hard into supporting it, and it really paid off. We had a lot of people come in, really like the game, and the same people who I met on day one are still around, they still enjoy it, and it kind of forms like a strong community. And it kind of leads into the other question you asked, where how do you prepare for a tournament like this? Well, it's by playing against players of high caliber like that. We all, every time a new card comes out, every time somebody makes a new deck, we all post it to each other. Hey guys, what do you think? And who wants to run some games? We would play games over and over and over, not only during our weekly locals, but as well.
Nice, nice. So yeah, you have a really good group of people that are like consistent and play all the time, right?
I'd like to think so.
Yeah, I mean that makes a big difference. I think just getting in those constant reps and having that communication and just like people to talk to with the game.
I mean, for sure. I mean, more than that, it helps you get past the slumps because no matter how you look at it, it is a game that can sometimes get repetitive, right? And so having something other than just playing the game to look forward to every week is it's kind of like hanging out with your buddies while you're playing.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, that's awesome. It sounds like a really good group, and the fact that you guys all push each other, it makes sense why 4 of the 5 people that came on day one made it to day two. I mean, you guys seem like you have a good practice routine and to consistently get better and better. So, going into preparation, what made you choose this deck, and were there any other decks that you considered for the tournament?
yes, absolutely. So I have been for the longest time an avid player of Tarkin, specifically from set one. I've been playing it since the game launched, and I was preparing to either play that or the new Snoke Leader, which plays almost the same way.
Right, right.
And after practicing that for a couple of weeks, I told myself, all right, it's time to check out the other decks, try to get a feel for them, see how they work so that I can counter them. And then when I ended up trying out Talzin, I absolutely loved the playstyle. And This is very close to the initial list I had made, and I just loved it so much that I said, okay, I'm just going to make a full switch and play this. And clearly it was the right decision.
Yeah, yeah. No, I mean, finishing 22nd at a tournament with 2 to 3,000 people is an amazing finish. Like I said, I would consider that winning. I mean, that's the top 1% of the tournament. I mean, that's and then the fact that you did it from day one too is just incredible. I think again that does not get enough appreciation for how difficult that is to do.
Thank
So
you. I mean, yeah, for sure. I think what I've constantly told myself is that I did better than I expected, but not as well as I'd like, of course. And like you said, like being one of the few day one players, I think there was one player in the top eight who was also a day one player, but other than that,
was that the
there were not
Han4
many.
the Han4 Tarkentown guy?
He might be. I don't remember what deck he was playing. I think he was called Magog.
Okay, I think it was him, but I'd have to double check.
Very possible. Also a very unique creative deck.
Yeah, yeah. It's interesting. I had worked with a Patreon member on that deck a couple days before Galactics, and I was like, "Wow, this is actually pretty good." And then they ended up having one in the top eight. It's cool to see. I love seeing rogue decks, you know, rise
For
above.
sure.
I mean, even that in the Kylo Tarkentown, of course. But
Absolutely. I mean, having that element of surprise is a big deal. Of course, it was kind of bogged down a little bit with the open deckless fiasco, but
right, right,
still, when your opponent hasn't tested or practiced against your deck, it's very hard to play against.
absolutely, yeah. 'Cause, I mean, nobody was getting reps against that deck before Galactics.
Precisely.
So, get into your card choices here. Some of the things that are a little different from the way I play Talzin. Got the Toulon Pike, which I have recently added that in. The 3 Ruthless Raider and the 3 Devastator. I think I am just playing 2 Devastator, and then the 2 Dooku are definitely different. So tell me a little bit about that and kind of your thinking behind this deck list and just kind of how you approach Talzin and the thinking about the lines of play and just your thoughts on the deck.
For sure. I mean, my deck list is a bit heavier than a lot of the other Talzins that I saw over the weekend, including the lovely champion who was running the same deck.
Yeah,
I run a lot more top end in the Devastators and Raiders, like you mentioned, and I think that speaks more to my playstyle rather than the deck itself.
yeah,
I'm a big fan of controlling the board very early in the first 2-3 turns, and then switching into a very aggressive style. And then once the board is cleared, I just use that top end to finish off. I mean, if you count it between Devastator and Ruthless Raider, you have anywhere from 18 to 24 direct damage from hand to the base, which is an absurd amount considering bases on average I have like 28 to 30 health.
yeah,
So if I'm able to just do a little bit, it's easy to finish off.
yeah. No, I really like your list, and I definitely tested it out myself, and it felt really strong. What are some of the decks you were hoping to see, and maybe some of the matchups you were not hoping to see?
Sure. I mean, I think the biggest matchup that I was hoping to avoid was the Vader 4, Vader aggro.
Yeah,
And even though since then I've learned through statistics that supposedly my deck is good into it, it is the one matchup that I have
yeah,
a lot of difficulty with. But other than that, I wasn't hoping to dodge anything else. I was hoping to play into a lot more blue green villainy. I think that was the deck. That was one of the decks that people expected to see a lot of with the new Energy Conversion Lab Darth Vader play that everybody thought was going to be very oppressive.
right, right.
I think my deck was pretty well suited into that. And I did play, for example, against one. I played against a Gar Saxon ECL on stream, and my deck clearly had no difficulties against it.
Nice. How many of those did you play against throughout the weekend?
I played against a handful. I played against the Kylo, Kira, Krennic,
Okay.
the Gar Saxon.
Yeah, pretty good
Very
amount.
few of them. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It was supposed to be one of the decks that people thought would take over. It was either that or Han 2, and clearly
Yeah.
not.
Yeah, no, I was really surprised that we didn't see more Vader decks. I thought for sure we were going to see a good amount of those, but it was not near as many as I thought.
I think the issue with that is that while that deck is good, coming down from the data vaults that they were running before into that energy conversion lab, losing that extra 8 health
Yeah,
really makes them weak into a lot of the aggro decks that are still around, like the Vaders. And while not many Vaders made it to day 8, it was still somewhere around 7 to 8% of the field on day 1. So if you just got an unlucky pairing into one of those early on, kind of messes with your entire screen.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, that 8 HP does make a big difference. I've already seen what was it? A Kylo Data Vault by John Tata win a PQ. I think this past weekend. So I think people are already, bringing back Data Vault a little bit more. And we did see what
For sure.
Boba Data Vault, Luke Data Vault do well at the Galactics as well. So yeah, Data Vault.
You need that extra health for sure, because it's not even just Vader. There was actually quite a few Sabines this weekend.
Playing Data.
And it really shows. No,
Oh, just ECL.
The old Sabine ECL. And if you were playing the Vader ECL decks into them, something that people often forget is that Vader is at that precise stat line that gets really devastated by Wrecker. Even if you do manage to ECL out your Vader, kill something, and kill another one with ambush, you're now a 5/6, so they can then ECL out the Wrecker to first deal a 5 damage, overwhelm 6, and survive.
Yeah,
that's a rough play.
Yeah, no, that is rough. So to kind of break it down, so how did you decide on your list? What cards did you cut? What cards were you like really close to keeping in? Things like that.
Yeah, this is, like I mentioned, like a very close to my initial list. What made sense. Some key cards here that I'm playing that others might not be, and vice versa, I suppose, would be Jedi in Hiding. I know a lot of lists weren't running it, and instead we're opting to run Marin. Definitely, Marin is sturdier and does help against some of those aggro matchups, but I find aggro is already a decent matchup for you.
Yeah.
And running Jedi in Hiding is just another discard effect, and I find that in this game, discard effects, the more of them you have, the more powerful they get. Using Force Throw when your opponent has 4 cards is okay, but when you've whittled down their hand with Jedi in Hiding, Force Throwing when they have 1 or 2 cards is pretty devastating.
Yeah, and that's why I like Pillage for sure.
Yeah, Village is definitely one of those cards that I strongly considered into the sideboard. I took it out last minute. Had to make a call. I was at 12 cards in the sideboard. 2 of them had to go.
Yeah.
And Pillage was the one that made the cut.
Yeah, no, and definitely, like, I think discard is not, not the main thing that you need in this deck, but it definitely is nice when you're able to, stack them on top of each other to completely just get your opponent in top deck mode. But no, that makes sense.
But like this is not Quinlan. Your goal is not to destroy their hand. It's just a happy little accident that happens on the side.
Yeah.
And the only other card choices that I think are somewhat different from the main list are my Dooku. I just think that Dooku is a great card that works extremely well with all the negative stats that we have. Right, 4 health threshold is pretty low, but with your own effects, you can take that. You can essentially make it so Dooku can kill anything with 5 or less. You feel that he's force, he works pretty well, but it is a hard to use card because if you don't time it right, it'll immediately get killed by a Luke Skywalker or a Depa Balaba or something along those lines.
Right. And it definitely has good synergy with Fallen Lightsaber too, as you set up the knockouts with the wind plate abilities, right?
To a certain extent, I mean, I find that if you reach the 7 resource turn, at that point, Fallen Lightsaber is kind of fallen out of favor. You ideally want to see Fallen Lightsaber either on turn 2 or on your leader flip turn. After that, it's usually a dead card.
Yeah. After the tournament, were there any cards that you'd be like, I wish I wouldn't have had that card, or any changes that you would make, or cards you would add?
There's no cards that I wish I didn't have, but I think some cards definitely performed less than I would have liked. I went in knowing that Anakin, for example, was the weakest card in my list. It still worked with the deck because it does the same thing, but because I'm not running any heroic cards, it's only ever just a -3/-3. And I think I would add a few more 2-drops. I did drop a couple of games, including my last one that would have qualified me into the top 8 by simply not having a turn 1 play. I really liked the list that the champion was running. Had some Krennics in there.
Yeah.
That could be definitely an interesting alternative to put in there. Not sure yet. Probably just mess with the ratios a bit. Add like 2 more 2-drops.
Yeah. No, I definitely like the Krennic. Maybe cut a Night Sister, maybe trim on a Dooku or something else.
Or a Fallen Lightsaber or something like that.
Something.
It really depends on how the meta evolves.
Are you somebody that ever goes above 50 cards, or you stick to 50 usually?
In my testing, I'll often go above 50, but when I'm finalizing a deck and bringing it to a major tournament, I usually trim it down to 50. I think the consistency is key.
Yeah, absolutely. Uh, see, post Galactics, would you keep playing this deck? I mean, it definitely won, and it's one of the best decks. Would you keep playing it, or would you consider playing something else? Are there other decks they've been waiting to play?
I mean, I really, like I said, I really loved this deck, and I think I made the right choice. Um, that said, we are pretty far off from any major tournaments, at least in my local area. We don't even have any PQs at the moment.
Oh wow,
But the PQs that we do have that are like 5-6 hours drive away, that are the nearest ones, are all in like October. So at least for another month or two, I want to mess around, have some fun with some uh, less uh,
less try hard decks.
yeah, sure, let's try hard.
Yeah,
Less popular decks, right? Like I've really had my eye on playing my Kit Fisto or my Qui-Gon deck. So I'm gonna do that, and then when tournament season starts up, I'll probably jump right back into it. And
nice. Yeah, Kifisto's really cool. I've been messing around with a Kifisto green deck that's felt really good in testing.
absolutely, I mean that is one of the decks that I tested out a lot. I didn't. I never really thought I would bring it to Galactics, but I had a lot of fun with it, and it surprised me. I actually have a deck tech on it on my YouTube, and I really think people underestimate the stat line being a 1/6. But I mean, we're currently in a meta where your leaders are being one shot, whether they are 1/6 or 4/7.
Right.
You
Force lightnings
want
and
something
force
that,
throws.
yeah, I mean, especially force throws. I solid. I think out of the 6 games that I dropped this weekend, 4 of them were because my leader got one shot by force throw. It is unfortunate, but that's just the state of the game right now. So if your leader is going to be one shot anyways, you want your leader non-unit side to actually have a good effect and get them.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you like Darth Maul as well? Similar ability?
I do like the idea of Darth Maul, and I think one of the things I'm most disappointed of in this set is that a lot of the forced villain cards or leaders aren't. I wouldn't say aren't viable, but aren't performing as well as I would like, mainly because there aren't enough force units on the villain side.
Yeah.
If you are trying to play force deck, you're kind of forced into playing vigilance blue. Because if you look at all the other colors, there's just no ways to generate early force, and that's really unfortunate. Whereas on the hero side, you can very easily have 3 to 4 different turn one plays that all have force.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense.
Ag. In blue, we have Secretive Sage and Karis, which is the main core of it. Luckily, if you're running red, you have Acolyte of the Beyond,
Right.
but there's no other early force units. And when I say early, I do mean turn one.
Right.
For example, you don't have any. I guess you have that guy that if you have the force, you can make it a 4/4. But otherwise, it's a turn 1/2/2. You don't want to play that.
Yeah.
I mean, you have Kylo, I guess, who's just villainy.
Yeah.
I just think that it doesn't have that same power level as the ones on the heroism side do.
Right.
Seattle, Edigalia,
Yeah. There's not enough 2/4s. Yeah.
Gungi.
Yeah. No, I agree. There's only just the Karis, right? And then Secret of Sage is good, but
Yeah.
the other two, yeah, they're mediocre. I mean, have you tried the Maul list where it's like the 25 HP, where you're like you play a bunch of 4 HP units?
I mean, look, I'm not saying it's impossible to play. I think there's definitely avenues to make it work, but is the deck sacrifice that you're making worth it?
Yeah, I mean,
I don't think it's quite there just yet. But that said, force is a very common trait, and we'll probably get some more in the future. Like leaders like Barris Offee, for example, they have an extraordinary effect. It's very hard to actually generate that force token to use it.
Right. Yeah, that's definitely a leader that's on my to-do list of like if we get more cards for it, it'll be one of those ones of just constantly paying attention to.
Yeah, I mean, she's just in an unfortunate situation where she is cunning.
Right.
The events she wants to play are in command, but the ways to generate the force are in vigilance.
Yeah, I agree. I wish it was not cunning. I wish it was blue villainy. Then it would be ready to go.
It would be a whole different ballgame. Yeah.
But no, I agree on the Maul. Like I tried out that other version. It just felt like it loses to aggro so bad, and it just didn't feel as good as to me as this version here, where it's like similar to Talzin, where you're playing most of the same units and cards. But I do like Maul a lot. I love those leaders that ping and spread damage.
Absolutely. I think there's definitely an interesting base there. It is unfortunate that the effect itself is fully mandatory. The fact that if your opponent doesn't have 2 units, you kind of have to hit yourself.
Yeah, that part is definitely. But I guess you could
On
play.
the-
You could play. Great units, but
for sure, on the leader side, it's understandable. There's a bit of a risk reward. It's just unfortunate that when Maul himself is flipped and there's no other units in play, he hits himself
yeah,
for no reason.
yeah, he punches himself in the face. It's like he can't handle not having any opponents. He's just gotta hit something.
For sure. If they had maybe given him grit, it would have made an excellent leader.
Yeah, yeah, that would have been pretty cool. Yeah, and if we just had better grit units, like some of them are decent. Like I like that. What's it called? Scimitar? Is that how you say that?
Scimitar, yeah.
Yeah, that one's good. And I do like that in Maul too, but there's not enough of those where you get this huge effect as a bonus for damaging yourself.
Yeah, I think they're balancing grit around the fact that the Grand Inquisitor still exists. And
Yeah.
it's definitely dangerous. And at the moment, uh, there's a lot of new toys in this set for Grand Inquisitor. I don't think he's made it up there just because
He flips on 6.
he flips on 6,
Yeah.
3/6.
All right. Yeah,
But otherwise,
those two things.
I mean, I've seen some plays in my testing where Grand Inquisitor just smacks me for 18 by turn 2 or by
Right. You can win. Yeah, you
by
can
turn
win.
3. Oh yeah, it's absurd amounts of damage.
You can win on turn 3, but it's like if they have answers early on, then it's like you just run out of steam so fast. What about Force Throw? What are your thoughts on that? Do you think it'll get banned? Do you wish it would get banned, or do you feel like it's balanced?
Okay, I mean, let's start off by saying I do think Force Throw is at the core of the current meta. I think every single deck right now is either playing it or planning for it. You kind of have to. It is warping the meta around itself. I I do think that some aspects of Force Throw are stronger than they need to be. For example, being able to force throw yourself and get rid of a card.
Yeah.
In theory, you are trading 2 for 1. But the problem is that they've added a lot of card draws to certain decks, namely red heroism decks, where that's no longer a hindrance. If you look at some of the lists, like for example Hantu or even worse Yoda Red, it's not uncommon for them to have upwards of 8 to 10 cards in their hands. So using 2 to one shot your leader at a resource cost of 1 is unfortunate. That said, on the other aspect, using that on your opponent is still a good tool. So I think there's never a case where you're sad to see Force Throw. Will it be suspended? It's hard to say. I don't think they need to because clearly there's ways for people to play around it. But I would like for it to be suspended. Number one reason, of course, being that hey, everybody doesn't like losing their hand. It's a very unfortunate feeling to just lose all of your cards and have nothing to do for a turn. But also, considering we had access to Legends of the Force a month earlier than we normally would have, if they were to suspend it in the next couple of weeks, it would pretty much cut the set in two and develop a brand new meta. People would need to go back to the drawing board, make new decks. And it would definitely make it interesting. Time for the
I think I'm on board with what you're saying. Like after like maybe another month or so, like go ahead and just get rid of it because it is gonna get old. Like just constantly, like you said, if you're not playing red, then you're not playing Force Throw most likely, and you're at a disadvantage because that's such a strong way to just take out a leader for one resource. And if you already have a big hand size, it's not really hurting you at all. Yoda Red is a great example.
The thing is that there's a lot to consider, however. While Force Throw is good, it is keeping some decks in check.
Yeah.
If you do hit only Force Throw and nothing else, some of those like heavy control decks that are weak to hand disruption or some of those like fast aggro decks will definitely get better. So if we are going to hit Force Throw, we probably need to hit other things. So I think the most realistic scenario is that they just wait it out because already 6-7 months
it'll be gone anyways. Yeah, that's why I think it won't happen. But I agree with what you're saying. Like it will get old. Like just getting a Crate Dragon Force Throwed over and over again for the next 4 months. Like that's gonna get old.
Yeah.
And I when I played Magic, I could not stand discard decks. It just felt like my opponent was just making me throw my deck in the trash and not even like letting me play. And I'm like, what is this? Like, might as well just.
It's different. Feels bad moment when you are simply not letting your opponent play. And sometimes it's not a matter of skill, right?
Right.
Yes, you're drawing two every turn. Sometimes you just have the resource, and if your opponent has the discard, well, whoopsie, you just
Yeah.
can't play this.
No, I
And
mean, and that's
as a player, I can definitely say that I have stopped playing some games because of that. And while I do think that it's not quite at that level yet in Star Wars, it is a fine line to
yeah.
to
I hope they pay close attention to that because absolutely, that's one of the most toxic things in Magic is like those decks where it's just like 40 cards that make you discard cards, and then you have 20 lands or whatever, and it's like every single card they play, they're making you mill your deck out, and it's like it just feels like I said, it feels like I'm throwing my deck in the trash, and it's like it's so frustrating if you're the person playing against that. It's like it's not fun anymore. It makes you not want to play, like because you're not really playing. You're just hoping that you find something that didn't get thrown in the trash that you can play this turn that actually makes sense, and it just feels like I don't know. It takes the fun out of the game, I guess. So yeah, I agree with you. But I mean, so far it feels like discard is not like out of check. It's like reasonable, and I like it. I like the component that it's in here, and I like that you can draw two cards and not have to resource at a certain point. So there's ways to get out of it, but again, it's not at a ridiculous point like Magic where it's just no longer fun to play the game.
for sure. And they do already have some things in play. I understand why they don't want to give every deck too much card draw. When you get to a state where everyone always has 7 cards in their hand,
Yeah,
it kind of takes away from the impact of resourcing.
right.
But they do have some things in place. For example, Smuggle was an absolutely fantastic effect.
Oh
It
yeah,
really
I
helped you when you had low cards in hand. Um, but only a select few colors have access to good smuggles. That's why we play Long Pike, even though it doesn't normally make sense in a deck like this.
right.
And I know that on the heroism side, yellow and red have a lot of them.
I
But
really
luckily,
wish
we do. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I didn't mean to interrupt, but I really do wish that they would make like a couple more smuggle cards each set. Like it's really nice to have that component. I know they're making plot, and that's going to be similar in a sense, but
Right, that was going to be my next point. I do think it's a bit of a shame that they're not continuing support for a lot of keywords that they're printing.
yeah,
We do know at least now that hidden is going to be an evergreen one. We saw at least one hidden in the next set.
yeah,
But yeah, a plot is similar enough to smuggle, and while it's not exactly the same thing, it will alleviate your hand troubles
yeah,
on the turn that you flip your leader at the very least.
yeah. That Cat Bane is really cool. What is it like? Defeat a unit that has 2 or less HP or something when
Right.
your leader flips.
Yeah.
That I mean, that's
Yeah.
cool because it kind of adds that component of like what Kylo does, where you're deploying and you're getting additional effects when you deploy. That can
That's exactly it. It kind of feels like Kylo was the test run for a plot.
yeah,
Except it's from the resources instead of this card. And what's one of the key strengths of Kylo that people seem to forget? The turn that he flips, he ends up playing his entire turn from the discard, which means he's generating hand advantage. He's not
Yeah.
playing those cards, so on the next turn he'll have just more options.
right.
And the plot will be more or less the same. Of course, you can do some cute combos with it, but I think the just the fact that you'll have access to more cards is what really.
Yeah. No, I mean, I totally agree. Like the smuggle component was one of the coolest things, and especially like it's a way to counter hand disruption because you're like, whatever, I'll just play a card for my resources that's been sitting there, and then I can rebuild my hand slowly since you keep messing with my hand. It's a way to balance that out, and it's also just another strategy that and a component like tech, for example. The fact that you can play tech, in a lot of villainy decks too, especially like in control decks that's one of the coolest things to me. Like to be able to pull out cards that you had to resource early because they were too expensive, and then they have value later on. It makes it makes deck building so much fun when you can do stuff like that.
Absolutely. I mean, they designed this game from the ground up with the concept of the aspect penalty, and we see it now in Anakin making a lot of decks run off aspect cards.
Yeah,
There's
that's so
so
cool.
many on two decks that I played against that were running Force Lightning to trigger it, and it's just cool that
Yeah,
they're allowed
it's
to do
awesome. And I even like how the out of aspect, like where it only costs 2 more resources to play things, like
that. Right.
because like another thing that I didn't like about Magic is like if you weren't playing black and you weren't playing Thoughtseize, like that's such a huge disadvantage in certain games, older game types where everyone's playing Thoughtseize, and you're like if you're not playing Thoughtseize, you don't get turn 1 Thoughtseize. But in this game, you can play Spark of Rebellion if you want to, and it's only 2 more resources, and that's really cool that we have the ability to do that in this game. And I think, I correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the creators used to play Magic, right? Like they come from that background.
Um, I'm afraid I don't really know. Most likely, I mean, let's
Yeah.
be real. Who in the card game world hasn't at least
Yeah,
looked at Magic?
but I mean, it seems like they're taking things that they didn't like about that game and put it in this game, and that's one of the reasons why I quit Magic. As soon as I started playing this game, I was like, this game has the things that I liked about Magic, the things I even liked about Pokemon to a certain extent, but it incorporates the better versions of those. You don't get mana screwed anymore because of your resources, or such a well done way to do that. Like it solves the resourcing issue. So just great job by them designing this game. I guess the last question is just how can the community connect with you and you know, got your YouTube channel with Dinosaurs or any other ways to connect
Yeah,
with you?
for sure. I mean, my channel, Dinosaur Gaming. You guys can reach me there whenever you want. Um, Other than that, don't currently have anything else. I don't have Twitter or Facebook, but
Yeah.
I have a Discord that anybody who wants can join. I can be reached on YouTube, however you'd like. I'm pretty active on Reddit as well. So whoever wants, don't be shy. Hit me up.
Yeah, and I'll make sure to post your YouTube channel on here and put in the link. And I encourage everyone to ask you questions because there's a lot they can learn from you. And I enjoyed talking with you, man. I learned a lot in our couple of conversations just about different ways of looking at the same deck that we've both been playing, and just kind of your thought processes. So I really enjoyed talking with you. I appreciate you taking the time. And
It was absolutely my pleasure. I enjoyed it both times. And yeah, I hope to work with you again.
oh, definitely, man. We'll definitely do some more, do some collaboration on some different things. But I appreciate it, man.